Welcome, everybody, to the regular meeting for the Board of Trustees for Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Is there a motion to open tonight's meeting? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. Meeting is hereby open. You'll see by virtue of the agenda that Trustee Taylor is appearing virtually. His location has been properly noticed. We are expecting Trustee Patino to attend the meeting. Can we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We are going to jump right in, and our first appointment is we're going to consider a resolution to promote Officer Justin Muscarella to Police Sergeant, effective on November 29th, 2023. All of a sudden, I hear an echo.
I did that. It's gone. That was me signing into the Zoom meeting and racing for the mute button.
Like, wait. This is pursuant to a memo that we received from the Chief of Police. So is there a motion to promote Officer Justin Muscarella to Police Sergeant effective November 29th, 2023? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. That passes unanimously, and I would love the Chief and Officer Muscarella to now promoted to Sergeant Muscarella. Come up. Give a little background first, then I'll do the swearing. So, a little background for everyone. Police Officer Muscarella grew up in Nassau County. We're not going to hold that against him because he grew up in Nassau County. He found Dobbs Ferry by way of his schooling because he attended Mercy College, where he played baseball. He also volunteered with the Dobbs Ferry Fire Department. He then graduated from Mercy College with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and on January 3rd, 2017, Justin Muscarella began his law enforcement career with the Dobbs Ferry Police Department. During his time here, Justin has been assigned to the Patrol Division. So you've moved along pretty quickly, so congratulations. And now, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and to carry out the duties of Police Sergeant of the Village of Dobbs Ferry Police Department, effective November 29th, 2023, to the best of your ability? Congratulations, we appreciate it. And along with that is a great-looking badge, I have to say. So, Chief.
So, Vivian, I understand that Sergeant Muscarella would like to turn this badge on.
Hey, Vivian. Was there anybody, well, you're going to speak also, but let's get the badge on safe and sound first.
Yes.
You feel a lot of pressure, I can see that. So let's talk about other things while she's trying.
It's a pretty stiff uniform.
It's good enough for today, for now. Congratulations. Don't go anywhere. Anybody else from your family or something want to come on up? Come on up.
My mother, Joanne, father, John, my brother, Joseph, his wife, Christina, and then a bunch of friends and colleagues here.
So wasn't all the family come on up?
Come on, sorry.
Don't be shy.
Do you want to say anything?
Yeah.
What? Microphone's yours.
Thanks, John. Thank you, Chief. Really appreciate you and entrusting me here. Continuing my next chapter in my career. Will not let you or the residents of Dobbs Ferry down. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Board, Thank you, Mr. Administrator. I look forward to going out there and continuing to serve the residents of Dobbs Ferry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's do a picture right over here. Everybody. Guys, why don't you stand up? Keep your eye. Done? All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, Board of Trustees, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's Chief.
Congratulations.
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 Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Be safe.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we just want to thank the Police Department for all their efforts in putting their lives on the line for us, and we greatly appreciate it, as I'm sure the residents of Dobbs Ferry all do. So thank you very much. Next appointment is to consider a resolution to appoint Lisa Bai as member of the Youth Service Council for a term of 3 years, as recommended by the nominating committee. I feel like we're back in 2017 when we did this. So Lisa was previously the head of the Youth Service Council, and we're glad that she's come back and volunteered for that again. So is there a resolution to appoint Lisa Bai as a member of the Youth Service Council for a term of 3 years, as recommended by the nominating committee? Trustee Sullivan, second trustee Gallen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Lisa. We appreciate it, and I'm sure you'll come before us with either wants or reports. So thank you. Action item number 3 is to announce the appointment of Nadia Rahman as a member of the Ad hoc Human Rights and Diversity Committee, as recommended by the nominating committee. I met Ms. Rahman a few weeks ago. We spoke. I know she also interviewed with the nominating committee and the Diversity Human Rights Committee. I think she'll be a great addition to the community. I think she's only lived here, less than a year, but she's jumped right in, and she wants to get involved. So I just want to announce that appointment. We appreciate her volunteering and getting involved. So welcome to the committee and welcome to the community. Now we're up to the presentations. I know that we're supposed to do the financial audit report first. What I'm willing to do is switch that and have the sustainability people, guys, speak first. So why don't you guys come on up and do your,
Hi,
hey,
I'm Janet Roseff, and we just want to talk to you a little bit about the Climate Smart Communities program. I know some of you know about it, others might not. Just want to bring you up to speed about what the program is, why we're involved in
Could you
it.
talk closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
So we just want to talk about what the program, the Climate Smart Communities program is, why we're involved in it, why it's important to be involved in it, and then we'll have Matthew Yorsi start to tell you about where we are as a village and what we've done to date. And then at the very end, and it'll be very short, we just want to talk about maybe the next steps, the immediate next steps. So, the next slide. The Climate Smart Communities program is a New York State program that's sponsored by the DEC. Each of those dots is a different community that's part of the program. It was started about 10 years ago. It started as a way to encourage municipalities in New York to do the right thing in terms of climate awareness and take initiatives that they think, and we all know, are going to be important in the years to come. So I think it says there are 300 and something, but I think there are 400 communities now, as of this week, I think. 122 are bronze. We're one of those. 10 of them are silver. Hastings is one of those. And we are, and there's no gold. So we can go to the next slide. So besides a lot of, the main benefit of being part of this community, besides doing what is right in terms of climate action, is that we can, by participating in this program, we have been able to raise a lot of funds in order to continue doing climate smart initiatives. We've raised, over the past 5 years, we've raised a little bit over $500,000. You'll see some CSC, the Climate Smart Communities Program, which is what we're talking about, is related to the CEC program, which is, I get the names confused, but it's a parallel program that it has more to do with energy, clean energy communities. So a lot of times what we can do in terms of CSC initiatives will also be parallel to the CEC initiatives. So we're going to be working together on both of those programs in order to gain more points and you know, more more grant opportunities in the future. Okay, so the CEC program has 12 pledge elements. They have a total of 116 actions. So all of the actions are divided among those 12 pledge elements, which, and you will have access to these slides so you can look at them in more detail on your own. They have to do with energy use, solid waste, land use, green economy. Okay, I'll go to the next one. And the example of an action, the pledge element is listed at the top. They will specifically have an action under that, and then there'll be very specific tasks that you have to perform. And so, you can go to the next one. So we have been, we were back in 2014 when the program first started. Thanks to Nina Orville, we were one of the first communities to get certified as a climate smart community, and we got silver level. We were one of very few back then to have silver. The certification lasts for about 5 years, lasts 4 or 5 years. So in 2020, Rhonda Russo and Anila Chirian and Liz Draper worked really hard to get recertified as a bronze community with 147 points. We are aiming in January, which is the next submission date, to get silver. It's 300 points, and there are very specific actions that are mandatory and some are priority, but we're confident that we can make it to silver. 2 weeks ago, you helped us pass 2 of the mandatory actions, which was to make this CSE task force and appoint a coordinator. So you can see we are going to submit in January on the 5th, and they will tell us by the end of February if we have succeeded. Okay. Okay. So we went through all the actions. We saw what we had already been approved for. We saw what we needed to revise, which had never been done. We saw what was out there that we still could get points for that we never even applied for. So we went through all of these actions. In the end, I think, and we've gotten so much help from a lot of you, which has been terrific. It's been really difficult to pull all these bits of information from everywhere. So one of the things that we want to see going forward, because we're not going away, is that there's a way to consolidate this information and to bring it to one place in the years to come so that we don't have to go running around every 5 years. Okay, that's that. So Matthew's going to talk about where we are.
Yeah, so here, I'm going to just give you a brief overview of where we stand within that silver certification process. And as Janet mentioned, we're looking to get 300 points total. A couple of other, elements that need to be achieved are 2 mandatory actions and then 6 priority actions. And the priority actions are highlighted green. So as long as we get these 2 gray mandatory actions, 6 green actions, and then a total of 300 points, we will achieve silver status. And so, as Janet mentioned, just off the bat, before we even started the process, we already had 30 points approved that are a carryover from our last certification. And then what we did is we took a kind of a very strategic approach in trying to identify which actions are kind of the low-hanging fruit and most achievable in a relatively short time span. We've only been working on this for about the last 5 or 6 months. And so, as Janet mentioned, pulling together all the data has been, quite a task, but with everybody's help, we're getting there. And to that, looking at the next section within the spreadsheet are completed actions pending approval, meaning we've done everything that we've needed, what we think we need to do to get the points allotted. We've uploaded it to a portal that, the DEC has given us access to track this. And so it's really just waiting to be submitted, and then it'll be up to, the reviewers to, give us feedback as to whether or not we've achieved all the points. So you can see that we've done, quite a bit of work. And I will just say Janet has done most of this work, so I want to give Janet absolutely a lot kudos for that. So.
Can I just say, we have an amazing team, just so you guys know.
So with that, we can see we did a lot of work. We've got, points that have been completed, uploaded, ready for review is 259. With the 30 points above, we're at 289 already. And then these are the actions that we are currently working on.
We just hit 300, just so you know.
Exactly.
That's about a week old.
Exactly. So, yeah, over the course of last week, we've got a few more actions completed to bring us upwards, closer to 300. So here's where we are currently in terms of what we're working on. A couple of inventories, the 2 priorities that are critical, and then we're hoping, of this 381, to get at least 300, because some of them are variable points. It's not just all or nothing. Some, you can get anywhere from 2 to 12, 2 to 20, and we'll wait to see. So we gave ourselves a little bit of a buffer, about a 30% buffer, in terms of what we're going to submit and what will come back, and hopefully we'll get 300.
And I think we'd like to make this, underneath this are all the actions that are still out there that we have yet to complete, that Dobbs might think about, in the next initiatives. So we'd like to make this spreadsheet available to all of you, and you can just take a look and see what you think. What are some priorities that you might have? We really appreciate that that we have a lot of your support for these kinds of initiatives. So that's great. Really, it's been wonderful. So we have 2 asks now. Simple. One of the actions is that we do, and we will be doing this, an annual progress report that kind of talks about what we've done in the past year, what the challenges have been, what our goals are going to be for the following year. And it's going to be a summation, kind of a history, because we've never done a report like this before, and a summation of this past year. And we would love if we start we start that, and it has to be a published report. So if we can, and we're going to try to do this quickly so we can get points for that as well. So we're going to do this report and then publish it on the Sustainable Jobs website. But going forward, what we'd like to do is take that report, distribute it to you guys in January as a board, and then meet in the middle of January every year and kind of go through it, get that report approved by resolution, publish it on the village website, and so every year, the village and the residents of the village can see all the amazing initiatives that have been done here, because this has been eye-opening for me, really. I mean, there's been a lot of work here that I never knew about. So I think what we'd like to do is have a meeting with you all in January with that report, talking about it, and then another 6 months after that as a kind of follow-up update, where we're going, where we've been, and then just do that every year, so that we can keep moving this forward. And so it doesn't stop after, after this year, and then 5 years from now, we're running around again. All right?
That's an easy yes to that. I was afraid you were going to ask us for money. Are you going to ask us for money?
The second one is money.
Of
No.
course.
The second one is just, and we'll probably talk about in January, a way that we could, because these initiatives are not just about our committee, it's about a lot of the committees in the village and a lot of the boards, and we're all working toward the same kind of thing in terms of climate action and sustainability. So we want to talk about how to get a way to have all the committees and groups together every once in a while, or start a dialogue, so that a lot of these actions are not just us running around trying to find the answers, but all the committees working together to try to accommodate the initiatives that the CSU program is promoting. So that's something that we can talk about in January.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much. I can't thank you all for everything that you guys have done. You guys have been fantastic. We really appreciate it. And I know that Rob and Liz have been very helpful as well. And I know
Very.
Trustee Taylor as well. He's been involved. So again, we appreciate everyone's efforts in this, and we really do want to get to silver, because I remember we were silver back in the day.
We were silver.
Yeah.
And Hastings just got in the enterprise for being
Right.
silver a few weeks ago,
And
and
that's enough to get us going, because we,
Oh, there's nothing better than being in the enterprise.
thank you.
thank you very much. We appreciate
I,
it.
I want to add my thanks if I can, and I also want to mention Jen Dorman, DPW, who have worked closely with Sustainable Jobs on this and other initiatives, and other departments. So it's been a team effort where the village and village staff have contributed as well. So thanks to them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next month, or January. Okay, presentation number 2 is our financial audit report.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
I thought you were zooming in. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you came
No.
from Latham.
Yes.
Okay.
All good. No problem. No problem whatsoever. So my name is Jonathan Gibbs. I'm a partner here at BST. We are the independent audit firm that audits the village. We began our field work of our audit procedures back in September and completed the audit. Audit is actually dated November 13th. And I just want to share some brief, high-level comments and give an overview of what our process was. So we issued 3 reports. We issued a financial statement audit, a single audit report that's required by the federal government, given the village expended more than $750,000 of federal funds during the year, in addition to a justice agreed-upon procedure report, which is required under New York State guidelines. And we also issue a required audit communication letter addressed to you folks as in your role on the board. And I'll kind of start with that letter. That letter gives a very broad overview of how the audit went and gives you kind of a look behind the curtain as to what our field work was like, if we had major issues or anything. And I can only report good news in that regard. We issued a clean audit report. We had no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal controls. We didn't identify any audit adjustments within the financial statements or uncorrected misstatements. We had no issues with management, working with Jeff and his team. when we found that the estimates were reasonable and appropriate within the village's financial statements. So a huge kudos to you folks and your team here in the village. That's not always the case. We very often find deficiencies in internal controls or audit adjustments, and it was not the case this past year. So we issued an unmodified opinion within your financial statements. That's the highest level of assurance that we're able to provide. We have an emphasis of matter within that audit report just in relation to a new accounting standard that came out. GASB 87 leases was required for all governments this past year. So that was implemented by the village and is really the only notable change within your financial statements. If you were to take a look at them year over year, there's a new note 10 within the notes of the financial statements that provides the reader some detail on the leasing activity of the village, which is quite frankly minimal, but enough to report and enough to have in your financial statements. We audited, obviously, the governmental activities as well as your governmental funds. Just a brief overview of those. The governmental activities increased $2.3 million to deficit balance of $26.8 million, which is similar to prior years. This is the result of other post-employment benefits in addition to your bonds and your pension liabilities.
So even though it says that we have this liability, it really is long-term, like pension payments that we're on the hook for.
That is correct, Mayor. Really the biggest thing is the OPEB. It's your post-employment benefits, the healthcare costs. You're not allowed to pre-fund those within the state. Even if you wanted to put money aside, the state says you can't. What you have to do under Governmental Accounting Standards Board is put that big liability on your books. Can't pre-fund it at all, so it just kind of sticks out there. You pay it as you go every year, whatever the bills come to pay your retirees at their health benefits, you pay it, but in terms of pre-funding it or anything like that, you simply can't. So this is a US GAAP required standard that came out a few years ago that requires you to estimate what those costs would be, but there's not really much you can do about it. So you're exactly right. That's just going to be similar to other municipalities, essentially every other municipality in the state. It's just a huge liability that brings a deficit to your government.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I get nervous, but then I remember that that's how it always, I mean, that's how it was last year too, I believe, right?
That's correct. That is correct, Mayor. Yeah. In turn, though, on your governmental funds, these are just the current activities, your general fund, and all the other governmental funds of the village. There's an increase of $2.3 million to a total fund balance of about $13.4 million. The village remains in a very strong financial position in the sense that, for example, the general fund had unassigned fund balance of about 24% of your expenditures during the current year. We're required under U.S. Auditing standards to evaluate whether there's any going concern issues of the village, and there's certainly none. You're in a strong financial position, and no concerns would be raised that we would have to notify you folks in your positions on the board. The other two quick reports that we issued that I'd just like to talk about is the single audit report. We finished that. We're still in the process of filing that, Jeff, which we can talk about just to make sure we get that uploaded to this federal government website. We had two major programs that we had to test. There was a Department of Transportation, as well as the ARPA funds that were expended during the year. We found no issues there. There was no internal control deficiencies. We found that you expended the money appropriately in accordance with those grant agreements and compliance requirements from the federal government, and no matters to bring to your attention. The final item I just want to quickly talk about is your Justice Court audit. This is a requirement. It's an agreed-upon procedure report that we do that the state requires. We do a whole host of procedures in there, 8 to be exact, ensuring that the financial condition and reports, cash receipts, disbursements, things like that are operating as designed. And again, similar to all the other items, we found no issues there and no items to bring to your attention. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you folks may have in terms of the financial statements or our audit process at all.
So our contributions to the pension fund, that's mandated by pretty much like the stock market and as well as the state pension fund, right?
That's correct, yeah. So it's based on, the OSC every year comes out and says, here's what your bill is for the upcoming year. You kind of have to pay it. You don't really have much of a choice. They get a lot of pressure from a bunch of different folks in terms of what that number should be, primarily local governments such as yourself that say, you know, to the extent that we can keep that number as low as possible, it would be great. But ultimately, you're correct. A lot of it's how the market's doing, the investments of the pension fund, as well as the actuarial determinations of what that liability is going to be, kind of all gets put together into one magic formula. and then they allocate it appropriately amongst all the municipalities and all the participating members in the state. So that comes along every year. You get the bill, and you pay the bill.
Okay. And so I did see somewhere that there was like a projection of how much we would be responsible for, or did I misread that? I mean, like I saw
So
something
there's
where.
estimates,
Yeah.
so like the biggest thing is the discount rate, right? So within there, the notes of the financial statements, what you may have been looking at was, if the discount rate were to increase 1%, here's what that liability would be. If it were to decrease 1%, here's what that liability would be. Really what it comes down to, Mr. Mayor, is that it's a gigantic estimate that is tough to really get comfortable with. The state does an incredible job at getting close to it, but it's really built upon a bunch of estimates that are just that. They're estimates. They're subject to change, and any small fluctuations in there can really cause the number to increase quite a bit or decrease quite a bit. So every year, they get audited by KPMG. KPMG puts their stamp of approval on those amounts within the pension system, and whatever the amount is, whether it's a deficit, whether it's a surplus, gets allocated proportionately based upon the number of employees of the village at year end.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And the same is true, I guess, and that includes the health, going forward, the health insurance, right?
The only difference there is that you actually engage someone yourself to come up with that number. You provide a census of what your current active employees are, as well as your retired employees. Engage that actuary, comes up with a number. They take a look at what your plan has, what the provisions of the plan are, the ages, the demographic information, all gets congealed together to come out with an estimate at year end as to what those future costs would be at a point in time. So the pension plan is more the state.
Right.
The OPEB is more the village engaging an actuary to come through and actually come and put that report together for you. But ultimately, it's the same thing. It's just two massive estimates based on future causes and events that no one knows what the future holds. So.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And so, I mean, I read it, looks like we're on very solid footing there, that, not that we would, but we could take out much more debt if we wanted to, and everything was, we're doing well.
We have no concerns in terms of your auditor, sir.
You could say we're doing well, it's okay.
Yeah, you're doing, I mean, we got to be very careful with independence. I don't want to sway you one way or the other. I can't make the decisions. That's for you folks sitting in those seats to make those decisions.
Okay, well, I want to thank you. I especially want to thank Jeff and your whole team and Rob for putting this all together, making this, all the information available to the auditors. Every year, you guys do a great job. We always get high marks, so thank you very much for that.
We appreciate it too. We really do appreciate the work that your team does as well.
Thank
you
you.
so much for your time this evening too.
Okay, next is courtesy of the floor. For those who want to speak, you have 3 minutes to speak. Just tell us who you are, and you're a resident of Dobbs Ferry, and just come on up.
Good evening. Dear Mayor, dear trustees, my name is Daniel Burgers. It's funny, I just see myself in the, in the camera. So a few neighbors would like to, don't worry, not everyone is going to talk tonight, so a few people are going to do a summary. We would like to give you more information on an issue most of you, if not all, are aware of. Our concern is to protect the knoll from development. We appreciate that you have talked already to residents about this issue in person, over the phone, have read emails, and have also responded to a joint letter by the concerned neighbors. Thank you for your commitment to the protection of open space and for affirming the aspirations of the 2010 Vision Plan. Our neighborhood is named the Knoll, as is the paper street in question. The neighborhood features predominantly older houses and mature trees. The main concern expressed in the vision plan is that until recently, mapped paper streets have led to out-of-scale infill development on wooded, topographically challenging terrain widely used and enjoyed as open space, and created continuing pressure for such development, which threatens to dramatically alter the character of the neighborhood. And I'd like to note that nowhere else in the vision plan you can read this strongly worded recommendation for the Knoll neighborhood. Take whatever steps are necessary to ensure that the formally mapped streets remain off limits to development. Another recommendation is to create a conservation district to protect the character of the homes with the wooded landscape and hilly terrain. And to the immediate concern, permit applications were submitted on 9/7/23 to build on 3 lots which are adjacent to the Knoll Paper Street. The description of the work proposes to build a private driveway on this demapped street, which would lead to 3 new single-family homes. And the developer has made clear at a September 2021 planning board meeting that he is interested in developing the whole area, 13 empty lots altogether. We are approaching you as mayor and trustee because you have the authority to decide what happens to paper streets in our village. Village attorney Mr. Posin explained in a 2020 planning board meeting, which also involved another demapped paper street, that the planning board does not have authority to decide, to allow access on paper streets, but that this authority lays with you. A few neighbors would like to give you more details about our concern. They'll talk about quality of life in the neighborhood, stormwater runoff concerns, and also the larger issue of other demapped streets in the village. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Hi, I'm Jane Boynton. I'm a resident, 15 years here at Dobbs Ferry. I live at 60 Luzerne Road. There are 13 tax lots in the area that we've described as the Knoll. And while only 3 of these are being proposed at this time, we believe it only opens up the door to allow the Knoll to be fully realized. That's a lot of potential future development and would drastically alter the character of our community. Our hilly neighborhood is known for its predominance of older, modestly scaled homes on shady, light-traveled streets that are crowned by spans of woods and nature and its adjacency to the preserve. It's this charming quality that people cherish and draw them to the village, making it a desirable place to live, especially when green spaces around our county are disappearing. We've seen that demapping paper streets had led to out-of-scale homes and infill development on wooded, topographically challenging terrain, widely used and enjoyed as green space. The absence of an existing road and opening up of the paper street will cause major disruption and change the landscape, not only altering the character and charm of this area, but it would also increase more traffic on our local streets that were not designed or laid out for heavy usage. The lack of sidewalks, hilly terrain, and the predominant draw of families with school-aged children, there's also a concern of safety with the potential of more cars on our streets. The removal of mature trees in some of our villages' limited green space within the Knoll will also have environmental impact on the surrounding nature preserve as well as the negative ripple effect implications on the nearby Wickers Creek Conservation and the bald eagle habitat. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has recognized the Knoll specific area and tax lots as critical environmental area due to their significant terms of drainage and open space resource. We need to preserve the beauty and ecology, heritage, and character of our neighborhood, and that which helps makes this village unique and special by avoiding development that threatens all of these qualities that we cherish so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Matt Carmody of 42 Luzerne Road, and I'd like to share concerns related to stormwater runoff, erosion, and stormwater infrastructure. I am a person with a degree in civil engineering, but I come to you today as a 13-year citizen and concerned resident of Luzerne Road. Our village has experienced an increase in the number and duration of heavy rain events. In my short time here, compared to many of you, it's caused a lot of damage. I remember being so excited for the Gould Park pool to open just to have a mudslide happen because people didn't anticipate that there would be increased stormwater runoff from all of these heavy storms coming down Beacon Hill Drive. So there is not an accident around that. Climate science tells us that with every 1 degree temperature change, the air can hold 4% more moisture. So as the planet warms, we're seeing more of these heavy rainfall events. We in the Knoll neighborhood have already had problems with water the whole time that we've lived here not related to these events. The Knoll acts as a giant sponge. It collects heavy rainwater and snowmelt events and slowly leaks it out. Unfortunately, it leaks it into our basements a lot of times. If you drive down Briery around Meadow Way, it leaks it across the street. It also leaks across Secor Road near Luzerne Road. So with the planet warming and climate change, these heavy rainstorm events are going to cause more flooding of public and private spaces, and any development of the Knoll is going to worsen this further. The Knoll in our neighborhood drained to the Sawmill River. We know that the Sawmill River has been flooding more frequently. The Sawmill Parkway has been closing more frequently. So my concern is that all of this exposes the village to litigation because we're not following our laws. Our comprehensive plan has been codified. So I worry about the risks to litigation from downhill residents because this area drains down Briery to Ashford Avenue and then Sawmill, and I worry about litigation from downstream municipalities like Ardsley, Hastings, and Yonkers. So I wanted to share from all of us that any development of the Knoll is going to worsen these conditions, and I think that you should reject any proposals to develop in the Knoll. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Larry Katzenstein. I live on Hilldale Road in Dobbs Ferry, and I'm here to give you a very brief historical perspective on paper streets. Nearly 20 years ago, my neighbors and I came up here to this very lectern, and we came here back then to oppose a contractor who wanted to pave the Hilldale paper street in order to build several houses on nearby vacant lots. And because of our objections to the Paper Street project on Hilldale, the Board of Trustees, in its wisdom, passed a resolution in 2005 that called for the demapping of all 41 paper streets in Dobbs Ferry. So after that, we assumed that the threat to our neighborhood was now gone and that the board's 2005 resolution would prevent paper streets from being turned into paved roads. But now we find that a contractor is trying to do on the Knoll paper street almost exactly what the contractor wanted to do on the Hilldale paper street nearly 2 decades ago. And if this new plan is allowed to proceed, it would set an unfortunate precedent that would make all of the village's paper streets ripe for exploitation. So it's clear that the board's 2005 resolution for the demapping of the paper streets must be strengthened. The time has come to once and for all prevent paper streets from being used to ruin neighborhoods throughout the village. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, excuse me. My name's Andy Roberto. I live at 56 Luzerne Road. Thank you all. I'm reading from, just wrote this here. Thank you all for your time and your attention to the issue and the development of the Knoll. With previous issue and concerns noted, we earnestly urge the planning board and the trustees to not allow development in the Knoll and to collaborate with the Board of Trustees to take the necessary steps to safeguard the area of the Knoll as described and officially with the force of law to remove the 13 tax lots from any possible development. We hope the village will honor the resolution demapped paper streets of 2005 and enforce the Dobbs Ferry Vision Plan issued in 2010
by the Village of Dobbs Ferry Land Use Committee and Philip Priest Shapiro Associates, planning and real estate consultants, with specific attention to the chapter of the Knoll neighborhood, which includes a clause which states, take whatever steps are necessary to ensure that the formerly mapped paper streets remain off limits to development. As an adjacent area homeowner, one among others here, I have a vested interest in maintaining the knoll as an undeveloped space for reasons discussed here and other reasons. And I would like to voice my objection to the proposed development of these parcels. I'm thankful for seriously thankful for your time and know how much you all care about our village. It's obvious from all the work that you do. We look forward to your guidance and assistance in advocating for the preservation of the knoll. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to talk about it? Okay, so, I mean, we have been made aware of your situation. We certainly are aware of the problems that you're faced. I think I've spoken to the village administrator, and I've spoken to the building inspector about looking, and Laura Lee, the village attorney, about looking into this further. What would be the next steps for us to see what the situation is regarding these paper streets?
In the current situation, we've asked for a certified title report to find out the ownership of the property which comprised that paper street. So we're awaiting a final certification from a title agency on the current situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have we looked at the 2005 law at all? Has anyone?
Sure.
Okay.
Of course.
Is there anything else you could add to that?
The demapping process doesn't eliminate private property rights. The demapping process just requires an additional layer of oversight in terms of what development can occur and by what rights that development can occur. It does not create landlocked parcels. It cannot create landlocked parcels because that would be a takings under the U.S. Constitution. So again, it's important for us to understand that the title work, the deeds to each of these individual properties, and to what extent they would have the right to develop and use the street that has now been demapped by the village. So there are a couple of more steps to be undertaken for the current 3 lots in question, and they will have to be reviewed, but a title agency would have that certified information, and we're waiting for the deeds to come back to us.
Okay, and this project is before the planning board.
Right, and it can't do anything until we receive this information from the title company. So it's not an active application at the moment. They came in with a proposal for a pre-application discussion, so it's not a formal application at the moment. They came in to get more information in terms of what was possible or not possible.
And that project will stay before the planning board?
Correct, yes.
Anything else that the Board of Trustees want to ask or comment? Okay. So all I can say is the attorneys are looking into it, the village administrator, building inspector. And I, again, press, when you see it on the agenda for the planning board, come before the planning board like you've come before us, continue to follow the planning board, and it'll be all publicized and we'll
Correct.
keep everybody aware.
Yes, yeah, it would have to be on a published agenda. If there were a public hearing involved, and again, there's no active application. This was an informational meeting, and it was a meeting to determine what was possible or not possible. So we pushed back, the village pushed back and said, you need to come to us with what rights you have in terms of the land under the street that's been demapped. And again, it's private property rights. The landowners have certain rights in that street, and we're trying to find out in the demapping process, did the rights devolve to the village, or did they devolve to some other entity or entities?
Okay, okay. So thank you again, and stay involved, okay? Yeah, you want to come up? Come up. Come on up, come on up, come on up. Only because the microphone is there, we'll have to hear you.
Hi, Marcus Solis, 90 Briary Road. Just a quick question about when that comes back from the title company. Is that public, for public knowledge, or does that stay just with the board, or how does that?
No, it'll be,
Sure.
tell us how it works.
Yeah, the title report is prepared and certified to the person who ordered it, but if they were going to be using it as proof to do something or not do something, they would have to produce it, and then it would become a public document. Yes, a record. And it would be made available to the planning board, and thus would become a public record available to the public as well. We can be sure that when that happens, we'll make sure that it's available, and the Board of Trustees would be made aware of it as well.
Yes. Okay, so just keep following it, we'll keep following it, and we'll see what we can do. Thank you. If you're going to leave, now's the time to leave. If you want to stay, you can stay, but
Or you could stay
Where's
to
Patty?
listen
You
to
wanna
what
talk
Patty
about
has
this
to
issue?
say.
Yeah, no, let's sit
No.
down until Patty starts talking.
no, he's joking. You can,
I am not here to talk about that. I worked in that area in 1987, and I'm not going anywhere near it. Challenging then,
Thank you,
more
Patty.
challenging now. Patty Steinsteiner, Dobbs Ferry. I'm here to just make sure everybody knows about what we're doing this Saturday, because it's different than we've done in previous years. The fire department and the DPW and the police department have come up with an interesting idea, which is that instead of having lots of people stand in the middle of Cedar and Main Street, waiting for the tree lighting facility to take on, while we try and get buses to go around and not hit anyone, this year, there's going to be a parade. And we're going to start at Walgrove at 5 o'clock, but we urge people to be there at 4:45 to be ready to go. They're going to walk down past the tree with the lights on, which will be great, and then go down to the firehouse where they'll get a hot chocolate and cookies and anything else that Steve thinks sounds good. And pictures with Santa. Santa is supposed to come. I haven't heard back from him, but
is it going to rain again?
no, you've got to hit one of these, man. One of these has just got to come through for you. It's a 10% chance of rain. So I think it sounds pretty good, and I think it should be a lot of fun, and people should bring their kids, and everybody should join it, because it's a very festive occasion. Brings a lot of activity. After you do your stuff and get your picture with Santa, you can go to one of our local restaurants and have a great meal, because they're going to be in very festive moods, and it should be a wonderful day. If people have kids that they'd like to have come and meet Santa at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he'll also be at the library, where he'll be reading his favorite book, was the Night Before Christmas. So anybody's interested in that, library at 3 o'clock, be at Walgrove at 4:45, and walk down and join everybody at the firehouse by like 5:20, something like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. What time is the tree lighting?
What time is the tree lighting itself? 5 o'clock?
Well, if the parade starts at 5, then
Parade starts at 5.
are the tree is being lit before the parade gets there?
Steve, what's
Be
the,
at the
what's the
tree or
plan?
the parade?
We're gonna have the parade start at 5 at Walgrove, and then go to the tree. So the tree's gonna be already lit.
Yes.
We're not gonna do that countdown, and I like the countdown.
Oh,
I'll count for you.
never mind.
I think it sounds good.
So we should meet on Walgrove, that's. Okay, that works for me.
I'm sure it does.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Patty.
Everyone can park at my house.
While I'm doing the rest of the meeting, Margaret, maybe if you can get, so I want to make it, unless Liz knows this, the announcements for not only that, but for the menorah lighting and what's happening with that. So I'd like to make that announcement before the meeting's over, so if you guys could get that for me.
It's on this resolution.
It's on the resolutions.
Already there.
It's just to leave it up, it's not necessarily when the menorah.
But they're doing the thing at the waterfront on the 10th,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Okay, so let's move along with the resolution. So, action item number 1 is to consider a resolution authorizing the street closure of Main Street between Oak and Elm Streets for the 2023 Holiday Light Parade and Tree Lighting Event to be held on Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, starting at 5 o'clock. Is there a motion? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 2 is to consider a resolution to permit the display of the menorah at the intersection of Cedar Street and Main Street. Is there a motion? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 3 is to consider a resolution accepting the resignation of Dobbsbury employee number H7Z072862, effective November 26, 2023. And Rob, did you get a letter of resignation?
Yes, it's official.
Okay. All right, so for confidentiality purposes, we can't go into the name. Is there a motion to accept this resignation? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 4 is to consider a resolution to change a current loading zone location in the downtown area. So I know that we had extensive meetings and public workshop on this subject. I want to thank Bruce Richards for staying with it, making sure we didn't lose sight of it. So we're going to try it, see how it works out. Makes sense. So is there a motion to consider a resolution to change the current loading zone as outlined in the resolution? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor. That passes unanimously. Action item number 5 is to consider a resolution to extend the parklet program. So I think we should talk about this rather than race through that. So I think the resolution extends it through the end of till April?
Extends it through, well, I think it extends it through 2024.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I think is the intention.
The applications need to be updated. I sent over last year's applications to the administrator's office. Those applications can start to go out for the season, which doesn't, of course, start till April. But this permits the current parklets to remain in place, I guess. I wasn't at the work session, so I apologize.
It's okay. And do we have any concerns about it going that long or?
Well, no, not about the length of it necessarily, although I do think at some point it needs to come to a close. But, you know, every time we talk about parklet program, we also then spend 20 minutes trying to like pull a cost out of the air.
No, the
And
cost
so-
is set.
So this is just under the same terms as have been before. And has the treasurer's office found that that is sufficient compensation for the use of those spaces?
Yeah. The fee is currently $200 per space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Per month.
Per month.
And that is a sufficient,
We're not a for-profit.
right, exactly.
I would just like to make a statement about I don't understand exactly why we have to keep voting to do this, because I would say that if there's one thing that we've learned from having outdoor dining is that people like outdoor dining. And, you know, it creates a great community feeling. It allows our restaurants to have a greater capacity, and the restaurants are what brings people to Dobbs Ferry, from out of Dobbs Ferry. And so it seems like we're always like, why does it have to end? Is that like a legal thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a legal thing. It's because it's a public street, and the public street is held for the benefit of the public at large, and you're designating particular spaces for use, exclusive use to an adjacent business owner. And as a result of that, it needs to be done on a temporary basis, on an as-needed, and for sufficient reasons and
And
causes.
so, but temporary, is there a time limit to the temporary? Like, could it be done for a year?
That's what you've done up to
Okay.
this point. You've
So
done
then
it for a
why are
year.
we voting to extend something if it's?
It expires in December.
It expires December 31st.
Okay.
So this extends
calendar year.
it through the
Okay.
calendar
So
year.
we're doing this to just, to do it in 2024?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And should the reasons and the benefits no longer exist, because these are licenses, you always have the ability to remove the licenses. These are not, they cannot be exclusive like a lease would be exclusive. You have no right to provide a lease for these spaces. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I would also believe that public dining outdoors is really a nice amenity for the village. So I think there is a public, in my view, a public benefit to it.
I agree.
Okay. So
Can I, sorry,
What are
can I
we
just
voting
add,
on?
can I add just an additional thought? I'm 100% on board with this as it stands right now. I would like to do, for, over the course of the next year, for the subsequent year, get more information. You know, we have sort of inherited this thing that came about because of COVID. I would like to get more thoughtful about how we do this, both from a permitted materials for the business owners who have them, a pricing structure that perhaps is a little more nuanced than just a flat fee per space, because not all businesses have equal access or adjacency to legal space, to these spaces. I just want to look at it more thoughtfully and say, if we're going to continue, if this feels like a thing we're going to continue to renew, you know, how can, and it is, we see it as an amenity and a public benefit, even for those who are not necessarily dining in those spaces and those restaurant, and who are not owners of those restaurants. How can we continue to build on it? You know, are there materials and appearance requirements that we can bring to bear that would continue to add to the aesthetic appearance of them, for example?
But I agree, I mean, because if we're going to do this long-term, maybe we can say, rather than having those orange barriers up there, we can do something that's better.
Right. I'll also say that I think we will get feedback from the consultants, since we're part of the Downtown Improvement Grant program, and, you know, that maybe factor into their suggestions or their recommendations, so it's something
And
to
I think,
consider.
I'm guessing there's like research from New York City and other more well-resourced municipalities doing this kind of work too.
The
that we can draw
New
from.
York City laws are very different. They're a
Yeah.
chartered city, and
Just
so-
in terms of the
yeah,
appearance.
There's
so-
certainly every
so again, it's-
municipality in Westchester has something.
Right, and it's it's the VTL law plus also the New York State Constitution. It's just, you run risk if you do it on a permanent basis, you run the risk of taxpayer liability and certainly a cause of action. So that's why you're doing it on an annual basis, and seasonally, the licenses are issued with the appropriate level of documentation and insurances and all those kinds of things.
Okay, so I think you make some good points that we should do, you know, in the coming year, so we can make it, and also maybe the grant writers, the experts will come up with a better idea, so. Okay, so is there a resolution for the Board of Trustees to extend the parklet program as outlined in the resolution? Trustee Rosen-Asher, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Next action item, number 6, is to consider a resolution authorizing a tax certiorari settlement with the petitioner Enclave of Dobbs Ferry Condominium for property located 73-85 Florence Avenue. I believe this covers tax years 2017 up until 2024 in the amount of $17,259.74. Rob, maybe you can clarify, or Jeff, this was, it's been on the rolls for, it's been pending for quite a while, and we've had negotiations going on. Have we made a settlement on this?
Yes, Mayor, that was my understanding, and Marie Dukovic, who's working out the numbers with us, I believe these numbers at this point are just formality to approve because they can't be challenged at this point. I don't know, Jeff, if I'm correct.
Yeah, no, the town has done other negotiations, and, you know, we're just agreeing to the reduction of the assessment and the refund.
Okay, and this is our share, because obviously also the
Correct.
town and the school.
Correct.
Okay, so is there a motion to authorize the tax certiorari settlement as outlined in this resolution, the amount of $17,259.74? Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 7 is to consider a resolution authorizing a tax certiorari settlement with White Marsh Holdings LLC for property located at 201 Ogden Avenue. This covers tax years 2020 through 2023, and totals $11,159.95. Is there a motion to authorize that? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 8 is to authorize a resolution, consider a resolution authorizing the tax levy and warrant for fiscal year 2023 through 2024. So Jeff, this is something that we have to do every year, right? This gives you the authority to
Correct, yeah.
collect taxes, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, setting the levy, basically.
Right, it's okay. So is there a motion to?
Quick question, just to clarify for myself, is this based on the budget that we passed months
Correct.
ago?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so, all right,
It's a companion resolution to your adoption of the budget.
gotcha. I was just a little confused by the lag between May and now.
Right, so can you explain why there is a lag, Jeff? Is this something that just has to be done before the end of the year?
It's really housekeeping, we're catching up. Next year, we can propose them both at the same time. I think that would help Jeff immensely, so we can have both of these prepared sort of together when you adopt your budget. So there won't be as much of a lag next year.
Right. Can this be done as one resolution, or do they have to be two?
Two separate.
Two separate?
Yeah, but they can be done closer in time, definitely.
Okay, so is there a motion to authorize the tax levy and warrant for fiscal year 2023 to 2024? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 9 is to consider a resolution accepting the annual audited financial statements and single audit for fiscal year ending May 31st, 2023. We just heard the audit, and we just got the report on that. So is there a motion to accept the annual audited financial statements? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 10 is to consider a resolution authorizing the fire department to transfer budget line items. We have a memo from the assistant fire chief explaining that it's not going to increase the budget at all. It's just a matter of transferring different budget item lines. So is there a motion to do that? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 11 is to consider a resolution approving the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer. Jeff, is there anything unusual or different in this?
Nope, nothing unusual.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. I have another action item to add to tonight's meeting. And this is, the public is going to love it, I assume. It's a resolution. I have to, wait, first of all, I have to make a motion to add it. So is there a motion to add a resolution waiving parking fees in the 99 Cedar Street parking lot from December 1st through December 24th, 2023? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor? That motion is now added, the resolution is now added to the agenda. Now we have to act upon it. I think we discussed this at the public, we definitely discussed it at the public workshop, and we really want to encourage people to park at 99 Cedar Street. I think we all think this is a great idea, which was Trustee Rosenasher's idea, to allow free parking through the holiday season to see if we could encourage that.
Sorry, I thought we said the month of December. Is that not, are we taking off the last
It's
week?
through December 24th. We can definitely extend it right now if we want to make it, is that easier, you think?
I
You can just
think-
make it through December 31st? or-
Easier messaging wise, and also it's a holiday, a lot of people will be,
Okay.
I don't see a reason not, I mean, someone has a reason not to.
Anybody have a reason not to?
No.
Okay. So is there a motion to waive, I'm not adding it onto the agenda, I'm just going to modify it now. So is there a motion to waive parking fees at the 99 Cedar Street parking lot from December 1st through December 31st, 2023? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor? That passes unanimously. And we just want to make clear to everyone that during this time, the normal parking enforcement rules will be in place. So you get to follow the parking rules there. You can't park your car there for a month.
That is a discrete zone, right?
Yeah, is it? It's only a parking, it's a park mobile discrete zone. I don't know if you know, yeah. Okay, that's it. Trustee liaison reports and announcements. Trustee Galen?
I wanted to add to what Patty was sharing about some exciting holiday-oriented events coming up this week, to add that the Chamber is hosting its holiday, I'm not sure if it's second annual, but annual holiday trolley around the river towns this Saturday as well, so you can tack some local small business shopping onto your tree lighting and emergency vehicle parade festivities for this Saturday.
Okay, Trustee Rosenberg?
No reports.
Trustee Sullivan?
No reports.
Trustee Rosenash?
The Human Rights and Diversity Committee led a walk through Wickers Creek, so people could learn about the Native Americans, the Lenapes. Unfortunately, I didn't get to join this year, but it was very well attended and very much appreciated, and want to thank all the members of the committee for that. They are also working on some other community events, which they will discuss with the mayor, the village administrator, at some point, and that's it.
Okay, Trustee Taylor?
Sorry, I had to unmute. No, you heard from obviously Sustainable Jobs, and there's, other than continuing wonderful programs, there's nothing new from the library.
Okay, so can someone tell us, Liz? I'm sorry, I meant to write this down and bring it. Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, that's right. Wow, there's a lot of things happening in Dobbs Ferry. So, we have, as previously alluded to, the Chamber Holiday Trolley on Saturday, December 2nd, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We have the Holiday Parade and tree lighting on Saturday at 5 p.m. We have the Holiday Hustle, which is a great event that raises money for underprivileged families in Dobbs Ferry so they could have gifts during the holiday season. That's Sunday, December 10th at 9 o'clock in the morning, which Deputy Mayor Sullivan's going to run in, and Trustee Patino is going to lead us in the motorcycle, I'm sure. We're going to have the Fire and Ice menorah lighting on Sunday, December 10th at Waterfront Park at 4 p.m., which is always a great event. A lot of people attend. I think, Sherry, you and I went there last time. It was really well attended. Firehouse Santa Run, that's where I guess Santa goes on the fire truck and goes around, and that's on Sunday, December 17th, starting at 12 o'clock. The Senior Citizen Holiday Embassy Center Party is Tuesday, December 19th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Embassy Center, so that's always a great event. And Liz, should I leave it for you, the Toys for Tots, or?
So now, from now through December 14th, we'll be collecting new unwrapped toys at the Village Hall office, as well as the first floor in front of the police station. If anybody has any questions about what toys are needed or how to receive donations, if they need toys for their family, they can call me in confidence at 914-231-8504. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for all the work that you do on that, Liz. It's been great.
If I can, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I could interject. The other thing, Liz, to remind people is that they can order toys online and have them delivered to you at Village Hall. I assume you'd be able to do that this year. And that's another way that people can contribute to the Toys for Tots program. Do you want to give people the address, Liz?
Send it to my attention, Liz Draper, Village Clerk, address 112 Main Street, Dobbs Ferry, New York, 10522.
And don't forget to shop local. And then bring it locally to Liz. No. Toy stores for kids
Rob,
in
you
the
want to add
village.
something?
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, just a quick note, a reminder, we sent out notices yesterday. The The good news is, we have the capital project starting up tomorrow at Ashford, Storm, and Grandview. It's basically for the pedestrian safety, for the bump outs of the sidewalks. It should be a 60-day project, weather permitting, and they're going to be mobilizing tomorrow, and if there's any questions, please call the administration office.
Yeah, I have gotten some emails about that already, so it is going to significantly impact traffic, I believe. So everyone should be, when you're going for the train, please leave at least 15 to 20 minutes extra time to do that. Longer?
No, it's a lot. I live on the other side of town.
Let's test that out starting on Wednesday. And just to add to that, just as just want to remind people that the rationale for that is pedestrian safety. But one of the things that's going to be happening in addition to the bump outs is crosswalks where there aren't any now. I was recently observing that crossing, and the crossing guard was basically, he was telling me that he feels like he's taking his life into his hands every time he crosses children at that intersection. This is something that will, when the crossing guard is scared, it's scary. So we're fixing that, and it's been a long process to get here, and I'm delighted that shovels go into the ground starting tomorrow.
Okay, anything else?
That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, everybody. Is there a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor. Meeting is hereby adjourned.